The unseen threads. In the bustling city of Everhaven, where skyscrapers stretched into the clouds and the hum of life never ceased, there was a cafe named the Loom. It was tucked away on a quiet street, its name inspired by the intricate tapestries that hung on the walls inside. These tapestries were woven by the cafe's enigmatic owner, an elderly woman named Mara, who always seemed to be working on a new piece. Mara was known for her sharp eyes and even sharper intuition. She rarely spoke, but when she did, her words carried weight. The cafe was her sanctuary, a place where people came not only for coffee but for solace. One chilly autumn morning, a young woman named Celeste stumbled into the Loom, her face pale and her hands trembling. She had just left her high-paying job at a corporate firm, walking away from years of sacrifice, late nights, and hollow victories. The decision had left her untethered, unsure of her next step. Celeste ordered a simple latte and sat near the window, staring out at the falling leaves. Mara, seated at her usual corner with a half-finished tapestry in her lap, observed her quietly. After a while, Mara rose and approached Celeste. She placed a warm hand on her shoulder and said, "You look like someone searching for something but unsure what it is." Celeste blinked, startled. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I thought success would make me happy, but now I feel more lost than ever." Mara nodded, as if she'd heard this before. "Come," she said, gesturing to the back of the cafe. Curious and desperate for distraction, Celeste followed her. In the back room, Mara showed her an enormous loom, its frame old but sturdy. Strands of thread in every color imaginable hung around the room, shimmering in the dim light. "This," Mara said, "is where stories are told without words. Each thread represents a life, an experience, a choice. Sit, and I'll teach you." Though hesitant, Celeste found herself drawn to the loom. Mara handed her a spool of golden thread and guided her hands to the loom. "Start here," Mara instructed. "Weave without thinking too much. Let your heart guide you." At first, Celeste fumbled, her hands unsure. But as the hours passed, she began to lose herself in the rhythm of the loom. The act of weaving felt oddly meditative, and colors she hadn't consciously chosen started to form patterns. Over the next few weeks, Celeste became a regular at the loom. She spent her mornings weaving and her afternoons serving customers. Mara rarely gave instructions but often dropped cryptic comments. One day, Celeste wove a deep crimson thread into her tapestry. "That color," Mara said, "represents anger. Is there something you haven't let go of?" Celeste paused, the memory of her former boss flashing in her mind, the condescension, the relentless pressure, the dismissive remarks. "I thought I left it behind when I quit," she admitted. Mara smiled faintly. "Anger doesn't leave until you face it. Acknowledge it in your work, and you'll find clarity." Celeste began to see the loom as a mirror of her emotions. The dark threads revealed her pain, while the lighter ones spoke of hope. Day by day, she wove not just a tapestry but a story of healing and self-discovery. As her confidence grew, Celeste started to interact more with the cafe's patrons. There was Daniel, an artist struggling with self-doubt, who began sketching again after talking to Celeste. There was Lena, a single mother overwhelmed by life, who found comfort in Celeste's kind words and gentle encouragement. Celeste realized she had a knack for listening, for helping people untangle the threads of their lives. And as she helped others, she began to understand herself better. One evening, as Celeste was finishing her tapestry, Mara approached her. "You've done well," Mara said, her voice warm. "But there's one thing missing." Celeste looked at her work, a vibrant tapestry filled with bold patterns and intricate designs. "What's missing?" Mara handed her a spool of silver thread. "Your purpose," she said. Celeste hesitated. "How do I weave purpose into something if I don't know what it is?" Mara smiled. "Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you create." Think of the moments that bring you joy, the people you've helped, the lives you've touched. Those are your threads of purpose. Taking the silver thread, Celeste began to weave. She thought of Daniel, Lena, and the many others she'd met at the loom. She thought of her own journey, the pain she'd endured, and the strength she'd found. As the silver thread wove through the tapestry, it tied everything together, giving it a sense of harmony. When she finished, Mara studied the tapestry and nodded approvingly. "It's beautiful," she said. "And so are you, Celeste. You've found your way." Celeste felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. She realized that her purpose wasn't tied to a corporate title or material success. It was in connecting with others, in helping them find their own unseen threads. That night, Mara handed Celeste a small key. "This cafe has been my life's work," she said. "But it's time for me to rest. I think it's in good hands now." Celeste stared at the key in shock. "You're giving me the loom." Mara nodded. "The cafe isn't just a place, it's a sanctuary. And you've already begun weaving a new story here. Keep it alive." Tears filled Celeste's eyes as she hugged Mara. From that day forward, the loom became not just a cafe but a community. Celeste continued to weave her tapestries, each one a reflection of the people who came through the door. And in the quiet moments, when the cafe was empty and the loom stood waiting, Celeste would sit and weave her own story, a story of loss, discovery, and the unseen threads that bind us all.